59, if I'm correct, and ask you to please stand for the pledge. Mrs. Weigel, would you lead us, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Staten, I will turn it right over to you for a series of presentations tonight.
Sure, I'm thrilled that we have Ms. Arturi, our director of special education, with us tonight to review the special education playbook. So we'll begin with her and I'll turn it over to her. While we're putting on, I was just saying, she's done wonderfully in this position. The feedback, every bit of feedback I've heard, Ms. Perger Niner has, she works very closely with her teachers, administrators, opponent, district, personnel that are, collaborating with them on everything. It's been very positive. So we're very fortunate to have this position, and thank you for very important.
Thanks for the opportunity. So as some of you know, every year the state looks at our data and they identify us in certain areas that they feel that we need to improve in. So 2 years ago, they looked at our data from 23-24, and the area of improvement that they found for us was called LRE, least restrictive environment. So since we were identified for that, what we had to do was attend 10 days of training through OHM BOCES. We looked at all of our processes, all of our different things that I'll show you. And we had to create this playbook. Once this playbook is created, we share it with the board. At the opening of the school year this year, I'll share it with the staff, and then we'll share it out with families. So this is supposed to be just every single thing you need to know about special ed in Sequoia. So. All right, so this is a big one, but really what's most important about our numbers is to sort of look at the last two columns. The top is our total enrollment. The next is our number of students who are in school age students who are identified as students with disabilities. 23-24, it was 143 students. This past year was 143. Next year it will be 136. Those numbers come from all the different things, but the biggest thing that changed is the next one, our preschool students with disabilities, went up from 24 to 34. And if you look a couple of years back, we're really, that's sort of the trajectory, right? 13, 24, 34. So those numbers are going up, which is going to cause our percentage of students in our entire district to go up. Our number of referrals pretty much stayed the same, 23, less in a 504, which we'll talk about later. We had 12 students transfer in, and I think that is sort of why, even though our enrollment has gone down a little bit, our number of special ed students has remained the same. I think Sequoia has a reputation for being a good place to go if you have a student with a disability. So we find a lot of families who have two options are going to pick to come here because they know their kids are going to get the services they need. The out of district placement we've talked about a lot in the past year. That's one of the things that we're looking at. 23-24, we had 48 students out of district. This year we had 48, next year we have 46. It's not a huge change. There are some kids that just need those programs, but we are trying to look at that and really see what we can do. And as we go through this presentation, there's a few things that we've tried to put in place to limit that number. One of the biggest things we looked at was our referral process. There's a lot on here, but basically the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that we're providing supports before students get into special education. So we tried to be very intentional with a plan so that everybody knows what you need to do. If you're a teacher with a struggling student, you know what the referral process is. I think that Mr. Reed is going to talk a little bit more about our MTSS plan, but each building has a student support team in one way or another. Teachers who identify students, we get together as a team. Parents are invited to this. This is where we start to say, what can we do in a gen ed setting to support this student? Our goal is to exhaust every single thing we can do before we refer a kid to special ed. So I think the biggest part of this is to make sure that our entire staff is on board with this, that everybody understands the process, and they feel as if their concerns are being heard and addressed, because we don't want people to get the impression that we don't want kids to get the services they need. We just need to make sure we're taking all the steps. I think that's one of the most important things that we're this is just a quick what the process is, what the timeline is. This is really important for me. We're held to very strict days and numbers on this. We need to make sure when a kid is being brought to special ed, we're acting quickly, we're getting them the services that they need, that our evaluations are done in a timely manner, and that we follow through in the process. So this is a big one. And just a little difference, some people don't know, when a kid is in preschool or even in early intervention, they're just identified as having a disability. You don't break down what it is. Once they become a school age student, now you have to fit into these different classifications. So when a kid gets referred to special ed, when we're at that point, we do our evaluation, our school psychologist does, and they have to fit into one of these categories. Then, once we know the category, then we start to know exactly what supports we need, what the kid needs, and how we're gonna proceed. These are some of the things that go into an IEP. They're very, very picky. They're a legally binding document, which is very important to, follow very closely. We start with where the kid is at. We call that their present level of performance. Each different area will put in, where are they in OT? Where are they in PT? Where is their speech issues? Where, what's their reading? What's their math? We put all of that into place. And from there, we'll develop their goals. We'll develop the supports they need. We'll do testing accommodations. Do they need summer school? Do they need bus accommodations? So we start with where the kid is at, and then we build from there. The meetings that we have, the initial meeting has to happen 60 days after a kid is referred. When we get to the point where a kid is referred for special ed, our psychologist Sue Pauly will do the testing. We'll get together as a team. That's our initial meeting. Every single year you have to have an annual review. It has to be within 1 calendar year of the previous. And every 3 years we have to have a reevaluation. So we have to do all the testing again every 3 years, make sure we're still in alignment. A program review is what we do if we think something needs to change. So if we're adding a service, changing a goal, then we do a program review, the whole team gets back together and puts that into place. So I'm gonna just pause for a minute. Another, for this next school year, turns out we are also identified as LRE. So the next step is that we look at what our continuum of services is in each building. Currently, what we have in the elementary school, the least restrictive placement is kids who get related services. So if you just need speech, if you just need physical therapy, that's where we start. The next step is resource. We have 12-1-1 classrooms, K through, 5. Some of the kids are staying through 5th grade, but whatever, we have a 12-1-1 classroom. If none of those things work, then we start to look at BOCES programs in our building, because it's less restrictive for you to be with your peers. And if none of that works, then we look at outside placements. In the middle school, we have the related service to resource. Then we have a 15-1 English and math class. And that's one of our big changes this year, is that we are putting that 5, 6, and 7-8. Thinking if we could support kids there, we won't be sending as many kids out of district, BOCES classes or whatever. If none of those work, then we go to the out of district placements. Same in the high school, we have the related services, we have resource. We do not have our own self-contained classrooms in the high school at this point. Maybe we will in the future, if that means that we're able to give kids that opportunity, especially if graduation requirements change, then that's something we're certainly going to look into. But this is going to be the focus of this year's training. It's just looking at what services we can provide. The other thing that we tried to really change this year is kids in our 12-1-1 classrooms. So, in the past, if you were in a 12-1-1 classroom, that was your class. That's where you went in the morning when you got off the bus. That's where you stayed all day. You might get pushed in for a little bit here and there and then leave. We've moved to all kids going into a gen ed homeroom, if they can. So they have a gen ed teacher, they're with their peers, their neighborhood friends, they're in the same room. Then they'll go out for the services that they need, but they'll be based out of that homeroom. And we're hoping that that's going to be our process to getting kids less restricted, more integrated with their peers, connected with their community. The related services that we offer here, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, those are the big ones. We have counseling services. And then once in a while, we do have kids who get these other levels of services. Got some great audiology people around. We have a vision teacher who comes in and provides that. And kids who need nursing services, kids who have, different medical needs we offer. One thing that's hard, a lot of people don't understand when you hear a 504 and an IEP is what is the difference between those two things. So a 504 is given to a student. You have to have a documented disability. So you have to come to the table with a doctor's documented disability of something. That is not a special ed service, it's a gen ed service. It goes with people even when they're outside of school. So you carry that with you to college, into the workplace. This is all part of the American with Disabilities Act that says, because you have this diagnosis, you can have these accommodations. It does not change the curriculum. You're getting the same curriculum, you just might need extended time or separate location or a seat close to the teacher. So those are the two things that sometimes get confused, but if anybody ever has a kid with a need, we can sort that. Those both go through my office. And then these are the indicators that we are identified by. These are the things that the state looks at. They're all different data and information points that we turn yearly into the state. And I'm going to share this presentation with you because it has the link to the playbook. But it also, if you're really interested in this stuff, you can look exactly at, what it is they're looking for, how they get the data, how they measure, and come up with their needs. So that's sort of what our playbook is. I will share it with you. It's very long. It's a 60-page document. I don't know that you want to read the whole thing, but I think what was very valuable was for us to start at the beginning, to look at our process, to make sure we were cleaning things up. And the next step is to make sure we're communicating that and everybody knows exactly how to follow. Any questions?
Now, when the state had questions about least restrictive environment, elaborate on that. What were they looking for?
So it's very interesting because their standard that they've set is that students are spending 80% of their time in general ed. So we take all of our students in all of our placements, we look at all their minutes, and it should be 80% is in gen ed. Even so, we met that threshold, believe it or not. We met the threshold. The state still says, yeah, but we want to proactively work with you on this. So it doesn't necessarily mean you didn't meet their standard. And the way that they figure the minutes and stuff is tricky and confusing, but I think what their goal is for people to start thinking more, not just sending kids out without thinking about it, really looking carefully at where can we start and what can we opt, just like being in a homeroom. That is another 30 minutes of the day that kids are with their peers. So those are the minutes, the percentage is 80 that they're looking for. We did meet that standard.
So we met the standard, but they're like, well, we have to justify all this stuff, and things of that nature. That's great.
So
You said it better than I did, Mike.
I like the state's looking at us, how we doing, when people should be looking at how the state's doing. Sorry, you're on a meeting.
So the state is saying that they want 80% of the time, the special education.
Total minutes of all kids, yeah,
Okay, to be in a gen ed population.
yes. So if you
That's a lot.
leave your class to go to PT for 30 minutes, those minutes are out. If you go to resource class for 40 minutes, those minutes are taken out. If you go to BOCES, at the BOCES Special Ed Center, you have no minutes.
But wouldn't the physical education be with their peers?
I'm sorry, physical therapy work.
Oh, I was like, wait a second.
So,
Okay.
part of it we can improve because we can start having physical therapy in the gym class, because now you're with your peers. Or if your goal in occupational therapy is cutting, maybe you should have that time when you're in art class and the person can be there helping you. So I think it's just a little bit of a mind shift that they're looking for people to make.
Yeah.
So if you've got knee pain, you can work on that in gym. That's PT, and then that kind of works it out, like a meniscus. There you go.
See, just go to gym class.
How do we know how we stack up against like what districts as far as?
I mean, our numbers are like, so they give you sort of almost like the teacher ratings, they sort of give you we meet standards. We've never been identified as a school in need or taken over or the state coming in. Yeah. It's for small school districts to offer all of the services that all the kids might need, because are we gonna have a class for kids with this one particular need when we only have 4 of them in the district?
Right.
So that's the challenge.
Was there a conversation, I'm sorry, Dave, that we had, I remember talking about this, I think last year. One of the goals was to either keep more kids
Mhm.
here or bring kids back. Yep, that one of those first slides, I think, shows that we have made an increase.
It stayed the same, 23, 24 to 24, 25 numbers stayed the same. 48
Oh, okay.
kids. Next year it's 46.
Oh,
It's not a huge change. Because we have more kids coming in from preschool with needs.
right,
It's sort of a hard, and what we don't wanna do is to not give the kids the specialized program they really need, because we want our number to look good, or,
Yeah.
it's like a balancing act. But I think adding the 15-1 class in 7th and 8th grade, that's sort of the point where our services were dropping and we were sending kids to BOCES programs. So doing that means those kids don't have to go. And Mr. Flagg is very invested in doing the same in the high school as we move forward. So hopefully those changes will keep more kids in and less kids going out.
awesome.
Is that the new position that we added this year?
Yeah, well, it was sort of the resource teacher that was my job.
Yeah.
In the high school, but for 2 periods a day, she's gonna go to the middle school and teach those 15-1 English and math classes,
That's
so that.
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, the more support we can get the 4 kids, the more they're gonna be able to stay. And at graduate meetings, I often talk to kids and I kind of say like, well, what was the challenging year? What was the good year? Tell me the things. And a lot of kids really feel a certain way about being sent out of the district. To some kids, that has a really strong effect on them and how they think of themselves and as part of our community. So there's real value in keeping kids here. It's just the logistics is a little bit tough.
And also, Patty, you're right though, even though the last 2 years were the same, the number before were the 60s and 50s.
Yeah.
Definitely a trend in keeping them.
Right,
in here
yeah.
versus-
I
what-
couldn't recall exactly, but I
Yeah.
remember, as you pulled that slide, I remember just thinking like, oh yeah, it looks
We
like.
did talk, and we've talked a lot about it.
Well, I'm sure it's not something that you can just wake up one morning and be like, you know what, I think we're gonna keep 20 extra kids, like. I don't think people realize, and certainly I didn't until you see something laid out like this. Everybody understands that there are a lot of, red tape things that you have to take care of, but I think until you have somebody. Put it all out here for you to see, then you're just kind of like, wow, I didn't really realize that, so it's a lot of work that goes into it, and. I think even just the idea that we wanna try to keep more kids and that can be a future goal, I think that's great for us.
And honestly, every single principal is on board, like we don't have resistance at all. Everybody is on board, everybody has that goal.
Yeah, and I think that's important what you said, these kids, when you ask them like, where were the challenges? Kids probably don't wanna be able to say, oh, well, I graduated from Sequoia, but I don't know any of the kids because I spent all of my time somewhere else, so I can understand how, that might be something that's a little difficult for them to cope with.
Some that like the fact that they're
Like the
it's both ways,
Yeah.
but there are definitely, I've heard a number of kids say that every day that they walked into that building, they already felt like they had been pushed aside from where they were. So we don't want that.
Yeah, thank you.
Sequoia for decades has had an excellent reputation of servicing their own students at Sequoia Valley.
And we want
Mr.
people to
Van
want to come here
Alstine.
for it, that's,
Tracy Fashini,
Yep.
and you guys have done a great job, but that word has filtered, that we deal with our own here, and it says a lot for the district.
and it's just doing what's right for kids at the end of the day. That's our bottom line.
Mrs. Berger, you can attest to that, I'm sure. We do a great
Yeah.
job here, and it has been. The only thing that I worry about is the percentage of the preschool, the rate of identification there.
Yeah.
That could be a challenge, Charlie, progressing 1, 2, 3 years down the road. I never remember,
Yes.
we didn't always have the numbers in preschool that you have today. But when that number comes in that high
That's hard.
at the beginning of their educational program, that becomes a challenge.
Unless maybe getting the services early.
We'll take them off the radar for the
Maybe.
future, yeah.
But that drives up cost. That
Yeah.
is,
It's a factor.
it's a factor, it's a factor that,
It's not how we make decisions, but it's a factor that we have to consider.
great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now I would like to turn it over to Mr. Reed for the comprehensive school counseling plan presentation.
I think you had it up there, the other tab, yeah.
Please change the password. Security question. You're like, what is your name? Your phone expires in 5 minutes.
Oh, there it is.
Every Tuesday, so they more reading.
That lies, yeah.
There we go, okay. So I will be, as Mr. Tate said, discussing the comprehensive school counseling plan this evening, which essentially is a plan that captures all of the services and the supports that are provided through our counseling department in our district, which includes our school social workers and our school counselors. So what I'll talk about are first the regulations around this work from the commissioner, and then I'll talk about the focus areas that we established last school year, which are the areas that we tried to improve our programming in the counseling department. And then certainly, if there's any questions or any feedback, please ask throughout, feel free to ask throughout or provide any feedback that you have. One of the main purposes of this presentation is to get the board's input on our future direction for our counseling. So please feel free to provide any feedback that you have. The regulations from the commissioner state that we are required to have a comprehensive school counseling plan. And as I said, it's a plan that outlines basically everything that comes from our counseling program. The plan must be online and available in our district offices, which it is, and it must be reviewed and updated annually, which we do, so that it reflects the current offerings that come from our counselors. And as I said, the feedback must be sought annually from the board via presentation, which is this. So again, please feel free to provide any feedback that you have. The regulations also require the establishment of what's called an advisory council, which is a group that consists of a variety of stakeholders. And that group basically meets twice a year. We meet once in the fall to solidify what our focus areas will be for the coming year. And then we meet once in the spring to review how we did, the progress we made toward those focus areas, and then to determine where we're going to go for the following year, or at least start talking about focus areas for the following year. So what I'll spend the rest of my time on talking about are the focus areas from last school year. Again, these are the areas just that we tried to improve our programming and strengthen our programming last year. They are attendance, social and emotional supports, and career planning. So that's what we really tried to improve and strengthen through our counseling department last year. First, attendance. We established a district attendance team, which consisted of administrators and teachers and counselors, really just to try to improve our overall district attendance rates. So we did a variety of activities and programming related to that. The first thing we did was we surveyed our parents and our students about attendance. We got some good data. One of the pieces of data that we got from our parents was that there was some confusion about when they should or shouldn't send their child to school when they weren't feeling well. So when we talked about the survey data, what we decided to do was to kind of create a communication campaign, essentially. So what we did was we coordinated with Mr. Staten, and we sent out one communication per month related to attendance to the whole district community. So this is an example of one. The title is "When is Sick Too Sick for School?" This was in response to the survey data where there was indication that there was some confusion. So this was just to clarify for parents when they should or shouldn't send their child to school. We also sent information about the academic impact of chronic absenteeism, if your child misses too many days and things like that. Just try to keep attendance in the forefront of parents' minds throughout the course of the year. We also did some building level activities. What you see there is a picture of a display in the middle school that was updated every day. based on where each grade level's attendance rate was for the day. They would move the car up or down. It's just kind of a mild competition just to keep attendance in the forefront of the students' minds. The middle school also did a little activity right before spring break for students who displayed significantly improved or high level attendance right before spring break. They were eligible to win a gift basket, which went over really well. The attendance rates went way up when we did that, so that was encouraging. And in the high school, they incorporated attendance into the end of year awards assembly. So we did some things at the building level just to try to keep attendance or emphasize attendance and the importance of showing up consistently. Something else that we did was we solidified our protocols. So at the elementary school, we created a mechanism that generated a report every 20 school days that listed the specific students who were missing an excessive number of days and how many days they were missing. And then we game planned, the principal, me, and the social worker game planned around those individual students, what interventions they were going to receive to try to support those families to get their child to school. At the middle school, we solidified our meeting structure. So we were meeting regularly, principal, nurse, counselors, teachers as necessary to review the same data, the list of students who were missing an excessive number of days, what interventions are we going to put in place. And Mr. Flagg utilized this document that you see here at the high school, which was really a good tracking system to track specific interventions related to attendance for specific students. We just tried to tighten our protocols, make sure our documentation with the meeting structures were shored up so that nobody was falling through the cracks and we were addressing every student who was missing an excessive number of days. Our attendance data this past school year did improve compared to 23-24, the prior year, by about 3 percentage points. So moving in the right direction. We still have a lot of work to do, as do most schools in our country, really related to attendance, but we did see an uptick, which was good in attendance. So hope to keep that momentum going. The second focus area that we tried to address was social and emotional supports, which really is tied directly to attendance, because we know that if we address social and emotional wellness in our schools, that has a positive impact on school culture, which makes it more likely for students to attend. So there's a direct connection there. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the things we try to do in each of the schools, starting with high school. This image is what we use to sort of define social and emotional learning. That's a phrase that I think is thrown out a lot: social and emotional wellness, social and emotional learning. So we sought to sort of define, what does that mean? So for us, it means 5 competencies. And we adapted this from the Castle framework. So we teach students to be aware of their emotions, first of all. Then we teach them to manage their emotions. We teach them responsible decision-making. We teach them how to develop strong relationships, and we teach them social awareness. So those are the social and emotional related skills that we try to directly teach in a variety of different ways. So in the high school, we do that with our school social worker going into classrooms and actually implementing lessons. And she's done that for a few years now. This past year, she surveyed the students to get some information about how effective the lessons were. And more than 90% of the students indicated that they thought that the lessons were effective, which was great. And she also got some great feedback on some ideas for even strengthening them more. So those will be improved next year. We did monthly themed activities. So for example, in the high school, October was self-awareness month. So we did things like book displays here. We did activities during lunchtime in the cafeteria. We did announcements throughout the month just to make students aware of these competencies. We had a month for every competency throughout the year. And talking with Mr. Flagg, we're really trying to find ways to transition to ways that students can apply the skills, particularly at the high school and middle school levels. And I'll talk about an example of that in a little bit. So that's where we're kind of trying to shift to. How can we develop and offer activities where they're not just sitting and learning about these 5 skills, but they're getting opportunities to actually practice them and apply them in a meaningful context. In the middle school, an example of that, to some extent, is the Hawk Fest events that they did that were very popular with students. Staff there did a great job organizing those events to really promote positive school culture and school-wide celebrations. Next year, we're developing a plan to do some more specific push-in lessons where counselors will go into the classrooms and teach students about these things. And we'll continue to try to find ways for students to apply the skills. I know Mr. Mannon has plans for, I don't want to share his secret plans, they're secret, but he's got basically a plan to have each class develop a project, like a community service project. And sort of take ownership of that in a way to contribute to their school and their community. So that would be definitely an example of an application activity for students to grow their social and emotional skills. So we're looking forward to that. At the elementary school, we continued with the Positivity Project, which is the character ed program around a variety of character strengths. And the Red Hawk Reader program was a big hit. So this is another example of an application for social and emotional. We had high school students go to the elementary school to read to elementary school students. It was a huge success. There was huge interest from the high school students, and just an example of an activity that develops relationship development, responsible decision-making, social awareness. So they're actually developing those skills through an activity. So we had really encouraging results with that. And we'll look to expand that programming even more beyond next year. So that was the social and emotional programming. And finally, the career planning supports, which were primarily executed with partnership with the School and Business Alliance, SABA. We'll start with the elementary school. We had every student complete an individual career plan in their classroom. So the teachers facilitated this. They did a great job. Every student, kindergarten through fourth grade, develops their own personal career plan. And we use the state, the state puts out templates to do that. So we use the state templates from the state education department. They're not the best, we learned, but we got good feedback from teachers on how to improve them. So we're working on improved templates, and we'll have the teachers sort of review the updated templates and make changes that are necessary. So next year it'll be even better to do the career plans in the elementary school. This is not a state requirement. The state only requires this in grades 6 through 12, but we thought we would get on it early, get an early start. The elementary students to get them thinking. In the middle school, we had the return of the career fair, which was a huge success. Students got to go to 4 different presentations of their choice. SABA coordinated that. We're going to try to expand that even more next year to a greater portion of the day. We surveyed the students about that and had more than 85% say that they thought that it was effective in helping them sort of figure out more of what they wanted to do in the future, which was really great. Our counselors met with students individually to develop career plans. So we used the same New York State templates just for the upper level grades, the middle level grades in this case, and they guided them through the development of those career plans. We had power skills lessons. So we had some representatives go into the classrooms to teach students about power skills, which are things like perseverance, communication, collaboration, skills that they need to be successful for their future. And SABA also coordinated some field trips as well for students, trying to draw the connection between our local industry, our local businesses, and our students in our school community. So we're going to look to expand that programming, particularly the career fair, even more next year. That'll be our focus for career planning. And finally, at the high school, a lot of activities through SABA. Again, they coordinated college tours, college field trip tours, career field trip tours. Juniors and seniors who were interested could take advantage of individual job shadowing and internship experiences. We surveyed those students. We had 93% of them indicate that the experiences were very favorable in helping them figure out what they wanted to do in the future. So that was also good data.
I just have a quick question
Yeah.
about that. Was it SABA that led that with the shadowing and the internships?
Yeah.
And how did students know that it was available, and how did students go about signing up for that?
So we tried to be more intentional this past year by using Parent Square to push that out to not just students, but to parents as well. So we do announcements. The best advertisement is really the word of mouth of the students, because now we've been doing it for a few years. So the students share with underclassmen with the opportunity to do it. So what SABA does is they come in and they survey the students first and what they want to do. Then they go and make all the arrangements with individual businesses and providers. Then they come back and say, okay, here's where you're going to go. They give them all the specifics. Here's where you're going to be. Here's where you're going to meet. Mm-hmm. And all the juniors go on one day, and then all the seniors go on another day. So they split it up throughout the year.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, so
That's
if you
okay.
don't know the answer, it's totally fine. The juniors and seniors, do you know, I mean, what did the numbers look like? Were there a large amount of students that wanted to
I'm
participate?
trying to remember. I'd have to go back and look. I know we've had, I can't remember this past year, but I know prior to that, the numbers were definitely going up.
Good.
The internship's a little challenging. So the internship is a 20-hour internship that's usually can only be done during a break week. So it's kind of sometimes tough for students to do that
Yeah.
on a break week, but we always have a handful of students who are able to do that. And that's a great experience. I can go back and find the shadow.
Yeah, I mean,
numbers.
that's okay. I was just curious,
Well,
but I
you-
think if any of these juniors and seniors, I mean, they also can get out of school too, but you know, that this is the point where it's not just a little sheet they're filling out, like this is the point where they're like, I need to figure out what direction I'm going in, so I was just curious.
But we do want the numbers to go up. We do
Yeah.
want the
Would
participation to
love
be
to see
increased.
all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So could we open it up to sophomores? Because I feel like it's great for seniors, but in reality, right? A lot of juniors have already decided on a major, they've decided on college, they're ready for that. So as a senior, they're just kind of posting through the year to get to that end game because they've already made those decisions. Sophomores, they're gonna use 10th grade year and maybe 11th grade year to make that final determination. So you don't want to rule out any seniors who are last minute, like not sure, but also if we can get ahead of the game a little bit, maybe we can give them some more solid footing before they get to junior year.
Yeah, we have a high school planning meeting for Saba on the 21st, I think, so I will bring that up and we'll try to get some more. So that's exactly the type of feedback that we're looking for. That's a great idea. I'll bring that up at that meeting and hopefully we can expand the umbrella, because it is an awesome opportunity. I mean, they come in, they basically say, what would you like to see? And they can't do it. They can't get every single career perfectly, but they do have a pretty good network at this point to tap people to pair with students for shadowing experiences. So it's been pretty neat to be
In
able to.
previous years, we did have students that came in and spoke to us about their Saba experiences with the internship and the shadowing.
Yeah.
And I want to say that every student that came in that did shadowing that I can recall that came in actually went into that field that they interned. I mean, my own son did an internship 20 hours with Yorkville Police Department, and now he's joining the Florida State Police Academy, so.
You know, it's interesting you would say that. My daughter was into graphic design, went to A&P Master Images for a week and said, I'm out.
That happened with Hannah. I let her shadow at my
No
job a
offense to
few years
A&P
ago.
Master Images.
She shadowed one day, she goes, I absolutely am not doing
yeah.
that, yeah.
That could be, that's just as positive.
Absolutely,
Just
yeah.
as
Can you imagine
necessary.
investing 2 years into college and then in your junior year, you're going out into the field, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I hate this. Yeah,
Even better if it's sophomore year and you go, not for me, junior year, what am I gonna go shadow now, because I've gotta.
yeah.
You
I
know,
had some friends in college who, and we students taught our first semester of senior year of college, and they were like,
That's brutal.
I need to get something up.
that's a tough spot to be in.
that's design.
Yeah.
Yeah. You tried.
Mr. Reed, I think doing the parent square is great because not all parents are told much from their kids. And I know that when that was happening before, we had said to our daughter, what are you thinking about Sal? And it was a lot of hemming and hawing, but that helps make some of the decisions. But there's also parents who say, I don't know anything, and how come so-and-so did this, I didn't know about that. Well, now you.
That was good feedback we got from the board, I think, either last year or 2 years ago, to use Parent Square more to promote these things, and that's folded in our plan. And we'll bring it up again on the 21st, but we definitely want to promote all these activities through Parent Square. So it's not just students knowing about them, because we know that parents strongly encourage students to take advantage of these opportunities as well.
Do we have an all-student school assembly where we would maybe do something like have a few students speak about how they've gone through Saba, so that even an incoming ninth graders are aware that like upcoming, like that exists, and that like you can leverage that starting in, you know, junior year, or whatever it is, and kind of lump that in with other speakers that might come in so that they kind of get everything in one package?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Like an announcement. Good morning, if you are interested, Saba's gonna be here this
Let's be
week.
honest, I don't know how many of them listen to this.
Well, I think you're right, though. The more they can hear directly from the students who experienced it, it's more effective than counselor telling them to do it, you know. So that's another thing for us to think about, is how we can, just as they came to share with you, it's more impactful to hear from them than not hearing from them.
Great.
The last thing that I'll mention is the Career Bite series, which I think was another idea brought in by Mr. Flagg. That was just a lunchtime series where he had, actually, I think the photo is an example. He had local businesses, local industry representatives, and some colleges come in during lunchtime. and just share about what they do with the students during their lunchtimes, just again to draw the connection between local industry and students. There are some local employers who provide outstanding opportunities to students. They'll pay for their entire education. There's some things that opened up some kids' eyes in the high school this year because of that series, which was really great to see. So we're looking to improve, expand on all of that next year and trying to drive up the participation numbers. That's really what it's all about, is to see if we can get more and more students involved in these things.
And like Lynn said earlier, I love that idea, just kind of sophomore year, it's like really a green light, and then junior, you're kind of, figuring it out, and by their senior year, the hope is they're entering with a pretty good idea of what they want to do, so I like that idea.
That's it. Any questions, any other suggestions, questions?
I think you guys are doing a great job. That was awesome. I guess just around the senior year stuff, and I just know this because I got my third one coming up to be a senior year. I know what goes on with what we're thinking about in the Common App and FAFSA and making sure that the encouragement is being given. I think August 1st, Common App stuff opens, and like making sure that Mr. Sheldon is on it, and how is that being communicated throughout the summer to make sure they're not waiting too long. And then I think also encouraging them to think big and think outside of New York as well, because I know there's a lot of focus around SUNY schools, which I get it. But, my two didn't go to SUNY and they're doing fantastic. And just to let kids know that don't be afraid to spread your wings and take off.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make a comment.
Sure.
I honestly want you to know that this is the most informative, detailed counseling presentation that I've heard in my 15 years on this bill. I think it's outstanding. What you talked about, I had a sense just because of my past experiences was going on, but you educated me to no end here tonight. And I want you to know that.
And great concrete examples,
Exactly.
like at my level, like I got it. So there you go, right?
Thank you.
I mean, really, for the average person, that was great.
Keep it going, Brian.
Yeah.
The initiative between Noel and yourself, the initiatives that we are engaging on are outstanding. And maybe they existed, but you know what? I don't know if the average parent knew, or the average educator knew, or board member knew what was really going on.
Tonight, as far as like just really how much goes into the special education program for sure, so.
Thank you.
There's a lot that goes on. We just have to lift the screen so that it's more transparent to people.
And Parent Square didn't exist for years, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of information never went to the homes. Now you've got
Well,
the resources to do
Let's
that.
backpack and then.
Right.
got
Yeah.
first
Hold it
one.
up in our pocket to have
I'll
lunch,
go
come and try.
for permission slip, I have no problem with that.
Well, thank you. Very
That's
informative.
good feedback too. For us to continue to find ways to make it apparent what we're doing to parents in whatever format it's gonna be effective for them to view it. That's something for us to continue to do. Thank you very much.
Now, just a quick question. I'm familiar with the SAB initiatives and everything, but I worry about one thing. Are we limited to the number of students who can participate?
No,
We contract with SABA,
yeah.
but isn't there a restriction there or a limit?
No, so the School to Careers program through BOCES has different branches. There's a program that you might be thinking of called Regional Program for Excellence, and that's a more individualized, intense program that I think are charged per student.
Okay,
SABA is just, it's not charged per student.
It's a flat
Here,
rate,
the
right?
services is more of a flat.
so we bring in their services so many days a week, so many hours a week, and they can service.
Enough time. We have somebody in that office. Last year it was Mondays, Tuesdays, and every other Wednesday, and she organizes all this stuff. All three buildings, so that's how.
So, okay,
Yeah.
so if we have 30 kids, 30 juniors that want to go out to explore different fields, there's no restriction, we can, okay,
Correct. Even if we had every junior who wanted to, we would be able to.
we can do it.
Mr. Reed, to that point though, is there ever challenges with AP schedules and because I know we're very tight on some of the advanced classes. Because I've heard like Julie, my daughter's talked about it, she's not able to, because the classes are only offered at certain times, is that, I'm assuming that does?
Well,
come up
I
or-
think it's always a balance, and when we set up the meetings at the beginning of the year to talk about when we're gonna do these things, that's a consideration, so maybe not April because the that's crunch time for APs. May is actually when we're taking the exam, so we're not gonna do that. So we try to schedule around those types of things. It's never perfect. It's always a balance of, we're trying to think big picture, right? We know AP is important, but what you want to do in your future is important too. So it's always a balance of just trying to make it work. The job shadowing experience does require them to be out of the building for a full day typically, because they're with that employer for the whole day shadowing them. So usually students can make arrangements of what they're gonna miss, and it's not too impactful, but yeah, it's something we just always are trying to balance.
I want to shy away from using the word required, but if we took a day where it was required for juniors to go, then teachers would know that curriculum on that day would essentially be frozen. And every student would know that, like, here's the form, please fill it out. If someone should choose, they absolutely do not want to, it's not required in that sense, but maybe it would give the
Yeah.
teachers a better way to plan around it.
Yeah, and that's a good thought. The job shadowing experience specifically is kind of a little bit easier because they know all the juniors are going on this day, and the AP courses are typically grade level based. So all the students in each of the 7 courses are usually within the same grade level. So the AP teachers can usually plan around. We could do that too, where it's just that it's just wiped out for those courses. So that's another thing to consider when we're planning this. Do we, instead of waiting for kids to sign up, do we take the opposite approach and basically require kids to opt out?
Yes, because
so-
I think that some kids would go, I don't really know what this is, I'm not doing it. Versus like getting the paper and their friend is like, well, I'm actually gonna go do this now because I didn't know what it was, and I can go shadow at the police department, or I can go shadow, at chiropractor, whatever it might be. And then their friend's like, well, just sit here all day by themselves, so yeah, I'm gonna go, it's gonna make something.
That's a good point, because there is an area district that does that, and I knew that from BOCES because they wouldn't attend our center that day because the whole school would be out. The whole Saba division would be in that district. So that's one day they would go, yeah, that's that.
I do have one more comment.
Yeah.
When the employee that we have that's, coming in from Saba, the days that you mentioned, does she have a list of things, or does she have a list of places that will accept the students, but also has like tentative connections when kids come to her and maybe they express an interest in something that's not on her list, or how does that work?
Yeah, they have a list of go-to employers that are great partners for them. Same with the career fairs, they go to that when they set a career fair, career day. But then if they don't have somebody on that list, they will just try to kind of cold call and reach out and explain what they're doing.
But so they'll encourage the kids, like, here's the list, but also if you don't see something that really, sparks your interest, then
Yeah.
let me know what you've got and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty-
meant to be sort of all encompassing, whatever
Yeah.
you want to do, they try to find somebody as closely as they can. It's not perfect, they can't always give, sometimes kids want really specific things.
Yeah, like
And-
they wanna be a superintendent, right? Shadow you for the day.
They were very flexible. My daughter wanted to shadow an architect. They didn't have anyone. So she had got on the phone and went and shadowed an architect. And then found out she didn't want to be an architect. I don't know. But they were like, knock yourself out. If you find something, we'll follow up and we'll make sure that it's legit.
To let kids take that
Our handle it.
initiative, like how many young kids are like, I don't wanna call, so that, that right there is a lesson in itself, if they're gonna just go and seek that
It
out.
took like a year to get.
Hey, progress is
It was almost
progress.
as bad as, can you order a pizza?
You gotta talk on the phone?
Yeah, bingo.
You're kidding.
But yeah, so there was a lot of flexibility and, if you wanna look into this on your own, knock yourself out, do that. And it was great. If it's some of the kids
Well,
just.
sometimes parents can have connections or family members.
And we've had conversations about making sure we include jobs that are for kids who don't go to college, jobs that are, so that we're hitting everybody, not just
Yes.
the doctors, teachers, typical job opportunities, Department of Transportation, different things that are out there for kids.
That's great.
And letting those kids connect with one another, kids who wanna go to trade school, the kids who wanna be electricians, welders, let them connect with each other about, hey, where did you go shadow and what did you learn from it? And like, maybe they're not quite sure, and let them have their.
Or like, I didn't even know that was a thing, that you could be
Yeah.
a welder for Ida Tiffany or whatever.
Right.
Or
Quick question on
Directly.
attendance.
Yeah.
How are we communicating to parents as far as data in respect to their child and attendance?
So, each building, actually, we've got it more consistent. So the buildings have a series of, interventions that they'll go through as students start to accumulate more and more absences. So it starts with a phone call home or a letter home, and then if it progresses from there, we might have a meeting with a parent. If it progresses from there, maybe a home visit to the house. We try to come up with a specific targeted plan where we identify what this family is struggling with, what are services that we can help you with. So it's kind of a progressive list of interventions that we go through. And we identify those interventions at those regular meetings that I've heard. So we take the list of students, wow, so-and-so missed 8 days out of the last 20, this is a big problem. What do we know about the student? What do we know about their family? What have we already done? We've got that all documented, and then we can say, okay, here's the next step. We're gonna try to schedule a meeting. We're gonna try to go through a support plan. We develop or identify services for the family. So we run those reports regularly every few weeks to look at the excessive absences of the students with excessive absences. Then we go down and identify those interventions for each one. But one of the standard ways to communicate is a letter home showing the number of absences. And what we found through the research is the visuals are powerful. So the letters can be effective when you show a bar graph that compares the child's absences compared to the average student in the class. So when the students bar is much longer, this research was
So the parents are up.
parents like, whoa, I didn't think it was that many, but typical kids have. So that kind of, so that we utilize that as well.
We also provide the individual dates that they've missed, so that like
Yeah.
they could then send maybe in a letter and oh yes, we were out of town for, these 5 days.
That is on there. So the dates that they miss are on there, and we include a note if any of these dates were for an excuse reason, please, we include a note saying, please contact us either way for what the absences were about, but if it was for an excuse reason, they can write an excuse and we can mark it as excuse.
Who would do that?
Well, we have different secretarial support in each of the buildings for that, but that's, we have a person primarily who does that, and then alone here, she does some other things as well, but there's a bit more of a demand high school building. We have the counseling secretarial support staff at the middle school, and we have an individual who wears about 87 hats at the elementary school who does it there. So, yeah, so it's it looks a little bit different in every building. And we have some aid, I think there's some teacher aid support to help with it as well here and there.
Mrs. Perker, you want to be 88 to be the truant officer?
Yeah.
Are the truant officers?
Yeah.
The problem is I don't like to be lied to.
No, that's wonderful. I mean, I just worry, you talked about the different responsibilities and different initiatives, but that's time consuming. And so what's being left behind that's not being done? But we've got all bases covered. So.
Yeah, and we try to find efficiencies with the technology and with the reporting and with the meeting structure, and once we get those things rolling, the processes become more efficient, meetings become shorter, the interventions are deployed more efficiently. We've got it down pretty well.
That was my next
Good.
question, because I think last year, the year prior. So Stella's transition from middle school to high school. High school absence was like I got a phone call, or I'm sorry, middle school absence was you got a phone call. High school absence, I got a text message, I got a notification through Parent Square, and I got a voicemail message. Or a phone
See,
call.
I got those,
voicemail
I
message.
get those for middle.
And for me, the Parent Square note where I can just say, Stella has a fever, or like we're out of town, or like whatever, is so much easier for me than like answering the phone if I can't answer the phone right
Yeah.
now. And I don't know that like the standard, like what is the standard across all buildings, like that, like that you're gonna get this notification, it's easy to reply back.
I think
they're all the same.
I think so.
It depends on how you sign up for your notifications.
Oh,
In
so then
Parent
it's
Square.
how,
Yes.
well, then maybe we should share that with parents, like if you sign up this way, you'll be able to just
Yeah.
type in, right, what your reason is and be done with it.
And there is on the school website, right on the homepage, there is an absence form. So they don't even have to call. As soon as they get up in the morning and that child is sick, they can just fill that form out. It comes in to me in the elementary, it comes to myself.
No?
And then I send it to the teacher and the nurse. So they know that, why the child is out.
Right, so I guess if we don't know, right, like
Right.
then people aren't gonna utilize the tools that are available to them.
So then if I don't get that and they don't call in, then that Parent Square message goes out because it's saying that they're unexcused.
That would be a good news and views highlight for attendance, like in order to, help better attendance, right? And let us know if your student is sick, like you can leverage this form. You can sign up to get notifications and text messages through Parent Square. This is, where you can go to do that so that everyone can send those.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. State, Board of Education Subcommittee reports.
Sure, I'll skip down to policy. We met last time on July 1st, the night of the last board meeting, where we approved policy, that we did it for board approval tonight. And then we just met before this meeting with recent policies. And then as the school year nears, we'll start some subcommittee meetings.
Okay, your superintendent's report.
Sure. You shall have a list of the subcommittees in front of you. Please look that over, make sure it's accurate for any changes that were. You also have school board institute calendar. Some of these meetings are legislative, some are just for the executive, but we wanted to share the information with you for days who have interest in attending any of those sessions. Update on the ground, really not a whole lot has changed since last time we met regarding the capital project. We discussed the rooftop units, redoing the track, elementary playground, flooring. We have added some potential air conditioning units to the upper floor of the high school. That's a potential. We're hoping that happens through, but otherwise things are status quo. And then regarding the track, I think it's next week at 14. Mr. Sacco and I are going to join John Nicotera, our track coach, and Doug Jones to go visit West Canada, Steve Chase next to Nicotera's.
And Mr. McCusick and Mr. Sacco, they were there.
Back to school activities. I want to share some dates with you on August 11th. That's the meet the coaches night for individual work. August 21st is freshman orientation at the high school from 9 a.m. to noon. And then that night, there's the parent forum cell phone discussion. And I believe information on that one out on Parent Square. And we'll send additional communication as that date nears. August 26th for the elementary school, cupcakes and classmates. And they'll have a Jared Campbell concert. Jared Campbell is a singer that we brought into elementary school at the end of the year. Students love his song. It's very interactive. So we're going to have him sing outside, hopefully weather depending, outside to the students and the parents. We're going to have a little community event there, so we're excited about that. We do have a board meeting that night, so hopefully maybe the board can, after our meeting, August 26th. And then the following night, the following day is middle school orientation for 8th and 5th graders, and then that evening they have an event in middle school for 5th grade parents. And I think that's all the next school activities.
Okay, just one question, and only because we talked about the grounds. Just a question. We moved the fence for additional parking. We've had a wonderful summer and it's nice and dry. And regularly, there are a number of cars parked right outside the maintenance department up there. But once we get into a rainy season and they park in that grass, it's going to be full of ruts.
Right, it's due for paving that area, right?
It is?
We've gotten.
In the project or now?
No, we've gotten some quotes to do a small area right now. Okay. The larger area was about 30,000, so we asked Scott to go back and get the price for the individual areas. So I think we're gonna do about $10,000 worth of work. I
Anything we
think that
do,
addresses the major area. This issue.
you can understand, I just.
Yeah.
I feel like $10,000 will get you about parking spots.
Or a motorcycle, about horsepower, not sure, license yet.
Couple of them.
Okay, thank you, Charlie and Dave.
On into the parking lot is the common.
Those,
Yeah, they were zero.
oh, one color.
When was that done? This weekend?
Next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That was.
But will we still be required, Dave, to keep that front parking section, so like where you would walk directly in through the gate to enter the track? Are we still required to mark off that one area for emergency vehicles? Yes. like, we would have to put like stripes or something, like, we have to keep people from, like, regardless that we're gonna pave it, people are, that has to remain empty for emergency.
And add some, any.
Good,
We're different, yeah.
okay, old business,
So I just want to bring to your attention, you know, we approved Red Hawk advisors at a lower amount, but that's being changed. That was. I had a discussion with Michelle Babby and the advisors, and I apologize for that. Right amount on the previous. That's just really changed.
we're gonna read 7.1 through 7.31. You might have to help me out, Mrs. Wyman. 7.1 is looking for the board's approval for the appointment of a teacher aide. 7.2 is looking for the approval of a resignation. 7.3 is looking for the approval of the appointment of a teacher aide. 7.4 is looking for the approval of the appointment of a substitute teacher. 7.5 is looking for the approval of a permanent appointment of a teacher aide. 7.6 is looking for your approval of a permanent appointment of a bus attendant. 7.7 is looking for your approval of 2 custodial positions. 7.8 is looking for your approval of a resignation. 7.9 is looking for the approval of appointment of a custodian. 7.10 is looking for the approval of another resignation. 7.11 is looking for the approval of the appointment of another custodian. 7.12 is looking for your approval of a retirement. 7.13 is looking for your approval of a resignation. 7.14 is looking for your approval of additional athletic appointments for the fall season 2025-26. 7.15 is looking for your approval of a sports combination sport of gymnastics. 7.16 is looking for your approval of a sport combining wrestling. 7.17 is looking for your approval of the ratification of an agreement with the Sequoia Valley Administrators Association, 7.18 is looking for your approval of policy updates. 7.19 is looking for your approval of immunization of service agreement. 7.20 is looking for your approval of the BOCES annual service AS-7 contract. 7.21 is looking for your approval of a lease agreement with the Small Blessings preschool program. 7.22 is looking for your approval of an agreement with the Small Blessings preschool program. 7.23 is looking for your approval of an agreement with Day Automation. 7.24 is looking for your approval of a resignation authorizing participation in the cooperative energy purchasing service for electricity. 7.25 is looking for your approval of a resolution, authorizing participation in cooperative energy purchasing services for natural gas. 7.28 is looking for your approval of the budget transfer that's over $5,000 per policy. 7.27 is looking for your approval of the extra classroom activity report. 7.28 is looking for your approval of our minutes from the July 1st, 2025 meeting. 7.29 is looking for your approval of the treasurer's report of balances. 7.30 is looking for your approval of a resolution authorizing payment of bills as approved by our claims auditor. 7.31 is looking for your approval of the Committee on Special Education and Committee on Preschool Special Education recommendations. Does anyone have any questions or concerns on 7.1 through 7.31?
I had a question on 7.
Yes.
I didn't know
Just
if
that.
Bernie's leaving, is there something that?
So Bernie and Holly are leaving the position as laborer, but they're moving into position as custodian. Yeah, and so we're excited for them to take that step.
And I wanted to make a comment, I'm so grateful that Mrs. Kennedy's going back to Coachville, it's amazing. So, thank you,
Which he did several years ago.
amazing.
Anything else?
Yes, I would like to not vote in favor of, but I guess I don't have any choice, because I was told that I don't have any option, but approval of retirement. Mr. Cowan. Who? I don't get to vote no, even if I want to.
I know, you're still gonna do it. Yeah.
And also approval of resignation, Mrs. Peters, is quite a loss to our district, she's a wonderful teacher. My child had her as a teacher, during COVID, which, if ever there's a test. And she was phenomenal, so very sad to see that we're losing
And I just want to add very quickly, congratulations to Carrie Tibbetts, Shania Taylor, they're both coming on at full time. We're excited for them. And then thank you to the New Hartford Central School District for partnering with us for gymnastics and.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, the flu shot clinic. We haven't identified a date yet. Usually that's, I think, early October. Does that sound right?
End of September.
End of September. We're just waiting on the other end of the party, but happy to again offer that service and us through insurance to our staff and community.
And as for the public that may be viewing this meeting, Mr. Cowan is retiring, but he has agreed to stay on with the district in a part-time capacity and lead us through the next fiscal year, school year. Combination of both.
Through June 30th, and then from there we'll decide.
EDD.
We're very thankful, Charlie, for just even you considering that.
Yes. For sure, I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, we need a motion to approve 7.1 through 7.31.
Yeah.
Mrs. Collins, Mr. Second, Mr. Kuzic, all in favor?
Mrs. Cobb.
Anyone opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to. Let's see, we're gonna go through 8.1 through 8.2. We're looking for the approval to confirm the tax rolls and authorize the tax levy. And also. We're looking for the approval of resolution to approve the execute the tax warrants. Need a motion to accept those two, please. 8.1 and 8.2. Mr. Sacco. Second, Mr. Fratelli, all in favor? And then we're looking for the approval of a resolution regarding state environmental quality review. Is there one to go with that? Oh, the approval regarding state environmental quality review for energy performances contract. Any questions or concerns? And we need a motion. Patty, second. Mike, all in favor? We're good? Maria, good? Okay. And we'll move on to miscellaneous topics, board members.
The Chobani giveaway was a huge success from what I saw. I saw on Facebook, many families posted, I saw pictures from the district, it was awesome. So,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
One
So that's every weekly or was it Fridays?
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
I think. We're still working on details.
Okay, yeah, awesome.
Move on to public to be heard. Okay. We do have executive session quickly.
Very quickly, we'll discuss personnel.
All right, we need a motion to adjourn for executive session. Patty, once again, second, Mike, all in favor? Thank you, folks.